Thanks for coming in. I know it's been a long road. I know that a lot of people are surprised we're actually here, and I appreciate the time and effort and patience, especially on everybody waiting to see how this was going to play out in terms of who we would select. And during the whole process, I got a lot of people to thank. One thing I want to remind and point out to people over time, this is my 20th year. Maybe I'm entering my 21st year as general manager, and then prior to that, I've been with the Yankees for a long time, and I had a lot of experience of managers and coaches, and had a chance to be a part of a process or at times lead that process. And I want to remind people, something that we are very proud of. I've worked with, as GM now, 2 managers. I had Joe Torre for 10 years. I had Joe Girardi for 10 years. Very lucky and appreciative of the time. And during that entire 20-year process, I got to believe, and this has got to be a record historically, I've never made any change in season on a coaching staff, let alone manager. So I think that speaks to this is a collaborative effort. We're all in with the people we work with, and as they commit to us, we commit back to them. Nothing ever goes perfect. As you know, baseball is an inexact science. But the people we gravitate to and surround ourselves with, from ownership's position down the culture that they create, is they want the best minds they possibly can have. And usually when you collect a lot of great baseball people, then you gravitate to good ideas. And we are very proud of that fact that we're going to be introducing somebody that we think is going to be a great asset for this franchise, someone that we can work with and collaborate with and plug and play with and grow with, and in good times and in bad, because nothing ever goes perfect. I remember, during this process too, as I was wrestling whether the candidate that we were recommending was going to be someone without experience in the manager booth. And it made me reflect back to 1998 in February, when George Steinbrenner came to me, and Bob Watson had stepped down, and he said, "Can you meet me at the Regency Hotel downtown? And I want to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." So I came down, never done this job before as general manager. And the boss said to me, "I've talked to enough people that tell me you can do this. I can go outside the box and recycle somebody, not outside the box, but I can go outside the franchise and recycle somebody who's done this job before and bring them in and plug and play. But I've talked to enough people that I respect, people that he's relied on over the years, who they were. I know some were Gene Michaels, some were Bob Watson, amongst others, but they say you can do this." So he took a chance on me back in 1998, and here I am 20 years later. And I reflected on that a little bit while we were going through this process, as I had people that I respect, people like Tim Naring, people like Jim Hendry, Mike Fishman, David Grabner, Chad Bowling, Jason Zillow, Steve Donahue, Kevin Reese, a lot of people, Dan Geis, that were part of this interview process along with ownership. And we all came away with we were extremely impressed with one candidate in particular, the one that we're introducing today, in Aaron Boone. And with that, we were all in, and we made recommendations to ownership. They digested that information and then gave the green light to go forward with someone we're extremely happy to bring back to the New York Yankees, number 17, being reintroduced to this family, Aaron Boone, as the next manager in the New York Yankees. Aaron, can you come on up?
Okay, thank you.
Thought that would go a little smoother. This is a special, special day for me and my family. I just want to first start out by thanking the Steinbrenner family for entrusting me in this position. It really does mean the world to me, and feels like the chance of a lifetime for me. And to Brian Cashman, Randy Levine, the one thing I promise you guys is you get all I got. And I'm so excited to be here. A couple people I want to acknowledge real quick. Two of my best friends in the world that made the trip out here, my agent, Adam Katz, and Ryan Stromsborg. Means the world to me that you're here. Thank you, guys. And my wife, Laura. We have 4 kids at home that I'm sure are trying to, in class, watch the press conference. They're so excited as well, but with school and their sports and stuff, they're staying back home. So just want them to know that we love them more than they can possibly imagine. And I'm just so grateful to have Laura. These last few days have been obviously a whirlwind for us, and now the next few months with family things are going to be crazy, and I could not have a better partner and a better person to go through this process with, and especially as the mother of our children. So thank you to all you guys. As far as the team goes, and we'll get into questions with all you guys, obviously this is a team with loads of talent. This is a team that in many ways came of age this year and arrived. And I'm really comfortable and believe that me and my staff will be part of helping them take the next step. And obviously the expectations here with the New York Yankees is to win championships. And certainly that's always the goal when we set out each and every year. But what I'm most looking forward to is the chance to have an impact on young men, on young ball players, and being a part of them taking the next step to now become championship level players. It's been a great last few days for me on the job, getting started, being on the phone with Cash, discussing different things, talking about putting coaching staff together. It's been a crazy few days, but something that I can say has energized me. I've loved every second of it, and I'm really confident that when we get to spring training, we're going to be able to hit the ground running and hopefully, again, just help this club take the next step as we start out embarking on the 2018 season. With that, are we going to open it up to questions?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Stay right here.
Yep.
Just as a reminder, if you'd kindly raise your hands, we have wireless mics on both sides of the room. It's a crowded room, so please be patient. Also, if you'd be kind enough to introduce yourselves prior to asking the question to Aaron, and I'll help moderate off to the side.
Ron Blum from AP. In your broadcast job, you had to be forthright and tell it like it is. With what is expected of modern managers, do you have to be more comforting to players and less publicly forthcoming about being honest about bad things that happen during games?
Well, certainly the most important thing is going to be my relationships with players. So, I expect myself and our staff to be very forthcoming and honest with our players. And I think the way you can breathe into guys, tap into guys the most is by establishing relationships. And one thing I promise you is we're going to have great relationships with our players. And I feel like that will allow us, because they know we care so much about them, they'll know that whether it's we're talking about something positive and giving them affirmation, or whether it's, a correction or something that we've got to address that needs to get better, they'll know from me, they'll know from our staff that it comes from a great place and someone that they can trust. And I think in the end, they'll know that we're going to always do what's best for the New York Yankees. And I think that'll be something that'll be evident within that room in very short order.
We're going to go to your left, Aaron. Sweeney against the wall.
Aaron, congratulations.
Thank you.
It would seem that the biggest obstacle you had to overcome to convince the Yankees you were the right man for this job was overcoming your lack of experience. How do you go about getting the players to buy into that who are most directly impacted by this?
Well, hopefully it starts obviously with a relationship, but that's a respect you earn. And hopefully, I think in short order, I'll be able to earn that respect. You know, that they'll be able to look at me, trust in me, know that, you know, I have their interests at heart, but know that hopefully I know what the heck I'm talking about. And that's something that you have to earn over the initial days in spring training, in the season. I'm certainly confident in my ability and the fact that that will happen, but that's something that's earned. And, you know, big league players are great at understanding who's for real or not. And I'd like to think that they'll know that in very short order.
We're going to take one here from Mark, direct center, the second row. And after Mark, we're actually going to take a few questions from fans via our Twitter site.
Hey, Aaron, Mark Feinstein, MLB.com. At what point in your career did you first think, I want to be a manager? And going back to the question Sweeney asked about the experience, were you surprised when you found out that you got the job?
You know, I think I've really started, the juices have started to flow the last couple of years. You know, I was very fortunate to go right from the field to ESPN, so it allowed me to stay in the game that I love, and I forged amazing relationships and lifetime relationships with people that I worked with at ESPN, some that are here now. And, excuse me. The first question again? Oh, yeah. So it's been a couple years now. I just have felt this tug. I felt the game kind of calling me a little bit. And I have found myself more and more looking at these games through a manager's lens. And then this postseason, where we do every game on radio, you know, I was around A.J. Hinch, Dave Roberts, every day. And these are guys that I go way back on. And I think I felt like in a lot of ways I was looking at them in the mirror with these guys. And I think it just solidified in my mind that I want to make this transition. And so I had no idea as far as how long it would take or, you know, what my path would be. And I was at my son's football game 4 weeks ago or whatever, and I got a call from Cash, and he said, "Hey, do you want to interview for this job?" And I think it was heck yes. And, you know, we scheduled the interview, and I came out here, obviously having never gone through an interview process like this, so not really knowing what to expect. I talked to a couple of friends in the game, Craig Counsell, AJ, Dave Roberts, you know, just to get a little background about what I might be in for here. And so I came and I spent 7 hours with these guys. It was long, it was tough, it was so fun. And I left here, and people are like, "How'd you do?" You know, it's amazing. You're reminded every now and then how many Yankee fans are out there in the world. And I live in Arizona and play golf and have friends with guys that are like diehard Yankees. So are telling me every rumor that comes out, but they want to know how you did. And my answer was, I have no idea. I mean, I think I represented really well. I came out here to get the job. I didn't come here to go through an exercise. I came out here to get the job. But that being said, when I left, I at least felt good that I represented well. And then it was a matter of if I'm their guy or not, I guess we'll find out. So I was very much at peace, actually, waiting for the decision to come down. And then when I did get that call again from Brian, as you can imagine, emotional moment. But I think immediately made me hyper-focus on, all right, now we're in. Now let's get going on making the Yankees the best we can, and I'm part of that process.
It's a good segue. It also have an interesting note. I think it's a sign of the times, and it's obviously a nod to the stability that the Steinbrenner family has established here with the organization. That the last time we had a day like this announcing the hiring of a manager, Twitter was a couple of months old. It had just been conceived, and the Yankees didn't even have a Twitter page. So as the PR guy, I'm not sure if we're in a better place than we were back then, but it's definitely the way of the world right now. We're going to take a couple of questions that we selected from fans, and this is actually a really good segue from what you just said, Aaron. This is from @LordChosen. Sounds like the Players' Weekend. Somebody had that on the back of their jerseys this year. Aaron, the question is to Aaron, obviously. How did your family and friends react to the news that you would be named the new manager of the New York Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, it's the New York Yankees. So obviously, I mean, that goes across the world with, how big of a deal that is. So I think my family and friends, I don't know if everyone's come to terms with it. I mean, they keep texting me over and over again, people that I'm close with, people in my family, like, is this really happening? Those kind of things, because they understand just how significant of a position this is, just how big of a deal this is, and just, I think in their mind, excited for me understanding the possibilities that come with being a part of this amazing organization.
Andrew, did you have a question? Second row to the right. If you could pass it along, Kenny.
Andrew Marchand, ESPN. Aaron, how will you define success for yourself as the manager over the 3 years plus an option of this contract?
Well, obviously I'm going to be judged on wins and losses in the end. And with the New York Yankees, we're chasing championships. I think I'll be, as a manager, someone that, isn't chasing after, wins every day. I want to get locked into the process. And by doing that, I think we have a chance to get the best out of our players. So I want to see guys, and there's so many guys, as you know, on this team that are in the prime of their career, not yet in the prime of their career, and I want to impact them to be able to become better players. And I think you do that by getting lost in the process, and along the way, I believe with the talent that we have, with what we have in the farm system, with the resources we have here, success in a wins and losses and hopefully a championship will follow when you're getting the most out of your guys.
Harp, staying in the same area.
Aaron, John Harper with the Daily News. As a son of a former manager and then a player and a broadcaster, are you a guy that kind of managed along with managers thinking about decisions and the in-game decision-making? How much of a challenge is that for somebody that doesn't have experience in it?
Yeah. So since I was 3 years old, my mom will tell you, growing up, going to Veterans Stadium every game, I was the kid at 3 years old while the other kids were off playing in the room and playing different games during the game. I was the kid sitting in the walkway behind home plate in our seats, like locked in on the game. For as well-rounded as I would like to think that I am, the bottom line is the one thing I know and have lived and am is baseball. So in a lot of ways, I've been doing this my entire life. And certainly I think the last few years have really looked at so many things through, at least in my head, through a manager's lens. And the last 4 years, I've gotten to do the whole postseason on radio for ESPN. And, so we're with the managers every day. We're with them through the World Series. And so I find myself day in and day out just managing these games, trying to picture how these things are going to unfold. What's the game plan going into that? I find myself really thinking about those things. As far as the in-game stuff, there's obviously going to be some things that I'm green at as far as getting my feet wet and getting rolling in game situation. I feel pretty comfortable that, again, that's another thing that I believe will come in short order to me as I get the mechanics of things down. And, I think part of what goes with that is surrounding myself, too, with an outstanding coaching staff that we're in the process of putting together. And I feel confident that we're going to have a world-class coaching staff that is going to be a huge part of supporting me, because it's certainly not all about me.
In the back left, in the middle.
Aaron, Joe Rivera, Sporting News. There's been a big analytical sweep in baseball. Everyone talks about the analytics. What is the balance between the human element, that cliche, and analytics? How do you view that as a manager?
A balance is a great way of putting it, because there's certainly a balance. I've been a guy that's really tended to buy in to all the analytics that are going on. This is an organization that leans on and relies on analytics, so I frankly can't wait to dive in and ingest all the information that we have, and I look forward to starting a few days ago, starting now, starting in spring training, taking all the information we get and then being able to get it in the hands of our players. And I think where the balance comes in is being able to tap into each individual in that room. Who can we overwhelm with information? Who wants a ton of information? Who do we need to leave alone? I think that's the art form in that room, in trying to get the most out of the players, because I think one of my main jobs is getting the most out of each individual player, and I have to have the ability to tap into that. And I think there is a balance across the board on that.
To your left again, Brian.
Hey, Aaron. Brian Hoke with MLB.com. 20 minutes and nobody's mentioned the home run yet. How did that one swing change your life, would you say?
You know, not a day goes by or a week goes by, I should say, that, you know, I'm always reminded just how big the New York Yankees are and how far-reaching they are, because it gets mentioned to me whether I'm walking through an airport, however far away from New York City I am, and you understand the rivalry that exists between New York and Boston. So I've had hundreds of stories told to me about where people were, what side of the ledger, and how personal of a story. I have the same kind of sports memories as a fan going to a football game or different baseball games. People have those intimate stories, and what's been great about it as I've gotten away from that, 15 years ago, is to hear the intimate stories that go along with it. You know, I appreciate it now. For a long time, I kind of tried to distance myself from it because we lost the World Series. And, you know, as you meet athletes all the time, you know, some of the things that stick with you the most, or you remember the most, are not getting it done. And I'll never forget the Marlins celebrating on the field. And that's something that's ingrained in my head. And, you know, I think one of the things that motivates me now in this job to go chase that ultimate prize.
Leads into a good question from another fan. CP7NY asks, Aaron, are you looking forward to your first trip to Boston and getting a warm welcome?
I am looking forward to Boston. I don't think it'll be warm anymore. I'll tell you what, you know, since the Red Sox have had their success and won their championships, I feel like since I've gone back there, it's been a little more good-natured, if you will. I don't think had they not won championships, it would be so good-natured. But at least my experience has been it's been good-natured ribbing. I would say now that I'm actually trying to take food off their table or wins off of their board, I would say it won't be as good-natured anymore. But one of the things I loved about my time here, and you know, Laura got to experience it as she traveled up to Boston, it was just how special of a rivalry it is between the two clubs. And you know, I look forward to being a part of that. And now, you know, the manager of that team happens to be someone that I've known for a long time and am very friendly with and very fond with, and I'm looking forward to now striking up that rivalry with him.
Bruce, right in front of you. Aaron, second row.
Aaron, Bruce Beck, WNBC TV. Welcome back to New York.
Thank you.
You've handled pressure well as a broadcaster. You handled it well as a ball player. What about being the New York Yankees manager when you're in that losing streak in July? How are you going to handle the pressure, you think?
Well, I mean, look, I haven't been there yet, so I respect that. But anyone who knows me, the way I live my life is I think I'm a pretty consistent person. No matter what's going on, no matter what chaos, positive or negative, is going on around me. I feel like one of my strengths is, the person I am and that you can rely on me, whether, it's going haywire or whether we're rolling. And I know there's going to be times where it's both. And, I think one of the reasons I'm up here is I think they've probably recognized that that I'm a pretty measured guy and a very consistent guy and someone that certainly my players will be able to count on, especially in a storm.
We'll take a few more. Juliet in the back right.
Hello, Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins. How are you?
Hi.
What is your philosophy on crisis management, whether it's about a particular player or publicity or some big problem with the team or a teammate?
Right. Well, first of all, I have a great team up here. So obviously different things are going to come across our desk. And those will be things that we work out together. I would say when it comes to dealing with a player, again, I think that's where the relationship is so important. And why I think, especially initially, one of my most important job is to gain the trust of the players, to know that they have someone that cares for them, because I think that's when you're able to pour in a transparent and an honest way, so that, when you don't have a good relationship, it's sometimes hard to tell somebody something they don't want to hear or to get on somebody. But I feel like when the relationship exists and they know it's coming from a great place, I think you're able to get through those times. So that's one of my biggest challenge will be gaining the trust of those players.
We'll take one more from a fan and then a couple more from the media, and then we'll conclude the press conference and break out into small groups. Last one comes from @Basra. Which will be harder, hitting a major league fastball or dealing with the Metro New York press?
Well, I'm 44, so my bat speed's not real good anymore. And these guys throw really hard now. So I'd like to I'd like to think dealing with you guys. I have a great relationship with so many of you. I'm a pretty honest guy, pretty transparent guy, so I know there'll be some tough days and some pointed and tough questions at times, but I'm looking forward to the challenge of working with all of you in to varying degrees each and every day.
Brendan.
Hey, Aaron. Brendan Cuddy, NJ.com. Is it important for you to have someone with previous managing experience on your coaching staff?
Well, we already have Larry Rothschild, so that's all kinds of experience. Yeah, experience is certainly a factor and something that should be of value. But it's not the end all for me and not a prerequisite. I want smart sitting next to me. I want confident sitting next to me. I want a guy that can walk out in that room, and as I've talked to you guys about relationships that I expect to have with my players, I expect that to be even more so with my coaching staff. So I want smart guys capable of connecting and impacting players. And whether that's a guy with all kinds of experience or little experience, I'm not real concerned about that.
Middle left, Carl.
Aaron, Carl Ravitch, ESPN, here with Buster and Mark Teixeira. Congratulations, and congratulations to the Yankees. You're getting a great guy. How are you going to deal with the obvious sadness and depression of leaving our family?
Well, I almost broke up a little bit when I mentioned. I'll deal with it. Okay, I'll get to see you guys plenty, and like I said, it's guys like you that 8 years of relationships that I've forged and built that I feel like will last a lifetime, and I'm looking forward to having you guys cover me and us on the other side, and now I can decline certain things with you guys. I'm looking forward to that.
Take a couple more. Ed.
Ed Randall, WFAN and Sirius and MLB.com. Congratulations. As an important part of Yankee history, does the home run, you think, give you a head start with the fan base?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, people know me for that. People have treated me very well when I come back here because of that. Maybe it certainly allows for some good graces to start things off, but, ultimately now I'm going to be judged on my performance. And to me, that performance is, again, impacting players and helping guys take another step in their progression as Major League ball players, and in our case, a lot of star ball players. So maybe some good graces to start, and they're familiar with me to some degree, but April will be here soon enough.
Couple more. Yeah, in the back right.
Aaron Markernay from 1010 Wins. I just want to piggyback off of Carl's question. Why would you want to leave the comfort of the booth for the cauldron that is the Yankees managerial job?
Again, I loved my time at ESPN. I loved the job, but the game's been calling. It's been pulling at me. And you miss being part of that team, the competition that goes into, in the end, chasing down a championship. And that's why, as an athlete, that's why we play. And I just feel like the last couple of years, that desire has really started to burn again. And I want to be a part of putting together and chasing down a championship, period.
We'll take a last one, all the way in the back row on the left.
Mike Gunzelman from WABC Radio New York. Congratulations and welcome. The team was only one win away from the World Series. Being this is your first coaching job, the New York media can be tough, but the fans can be tough, even tougher. What message would you like them to have to hear from you? Do you want them to have faith in you? What would you like to tell the fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the expectations. And when you look at our roster, when you look at the young players we have, you look at the farm system we have, and you look at the success that they enjoyed last year, I understand what I signed up for. I understand what the expectations are, and I hope those expectations are ramped up each and every year. That's part of it. That's certainly part of being here. I don't want to get caught up in that personally, and I don't think that I will. Again, my job will be impacting that room, getting the most out of our players, and then hopefully the rest takes care of itself because of what I think our roster potential is.